You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, good morning, everybody, and we're all here.
There you go.
So there we go. Hey, we got
Gotta have some applause somewhere.
I got a new button that I put on my software
yeah.
here, so but
Terry and his
anyway,
buttons.
Hey. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to Get It Right Texoma. This is the trio here. We got Trey.
I'm Trey.
And
I don't know why we bother having a script. You never follow it.
I know. Hey, so, but anyway, as always, we got, of course, we need to move. I keep saying that every week. I almost feel like I need to move it right now. But anyway.
Go move it.
Yeah, we have. Well, then, all right. Well, then you finish up that part. I've got to move that.
So we go live every Friday morning at 7:30 on YouTube and Facebook. And we usually have guests, local guests every morning or every week, which is pretty cool because you get some long-form interviews. We've had Congressman Ronnie Jackson. We've had Mayor Tim Short of Wichita Falls. We've had county judges. We've had county commissioners. We've had city council. We've had the CEO of hospitals. We've had a lot of nonprofits. So we have a lot of people, and we've got a great lineup coming up in 2026. Oh, my. We'll talk about that next
time we're here.
Next time we're together.
There we go. So anyway, please comment and share and share this.
We have some sort of feedback right here.
Oh yeah, it's my phone.
It was screwing me up. I'm sitting here talking and I keep hearing myself like in delay.
Yeah. So we know our sound's going out okay. So that was an ops check there.
Okay,
So
there we
anyway, so please like and share, and let's get on into this. The Get It Right Texoma. That's where you're at.
That's right. And as always, our first feature is our local restaurant, and we have talked about them before on the podcast, but it's about time for them to come back around. Barbaritas.
Yes.
So now, if you were familiar at one time, Barbaritas was over by the DPS.
Oh no, I didn't realize that.
Over by the base, and they moved over to what was Opaz for years in Century Plaza.
Yeah,
Century Plaza. Yeah, on the corner of, it's not Maplewood, but they're right there on the corner of Century Plaza.
There's a road that goes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, that goes between the bank and
it's not on the corner of Midwestern. It's on Maplewood, but it's on the corner of Midwestern. It's one block in.
Kind of block, yeah. So,
but Barbarita's restaurant, they expanded quite a bit.
Yeah.
They have great food. I mean, their food is phenomenal. They also have a full bar, and I think they're known for their margaritas. I'm not a drinker, but I think they're known for their margaritas. Their salsa bar, they have a salsa bar.
Yeah, that's cool because nobody. I'm not aware of anybody else has that.
I'm not either as well. And so they're some of the great food that they show. My favorite salsa they have, it's a green salsa, and it's creamy. It's a creamy green salsa. It's not. It's not guacamole.
It's not guac. Okay.
No. I know what guacamole is. It's not thick like guacamole, but it's a creamy salsa. Right. Okay. And it does have a bite to it, but it's really good.
Well, Lucy loves hot stuff, hot sauce.
Yeah.
She is all into the hot stuff. I take it a little. Well, if it sometimes taco sauce from Taco Bell is probably too hot for me. I don't eat Taco Bell. But,
I don't. I like the flavor of some things. I like the flavor of jalapenos. Right. I could do with or without the heat. I don't care about the heat itself. But I do like the flavor of jalapenos and jalapeno dishes. But as Terry's scrolling through, they've got a full menu. They have not only your Tex-Mex fare, your tacos and that sort of thing. They also have some very traditional Mexican type foods, like menudo and some of the soups and things like that are traditional Mexican.
Yeah, we had enchiladas from a local restaurant here. Oh, actually, it was from Pioneer, but anyway. But we had them for Christmas.
Oh, did you?
So we had Christmas enchiladas. So, but
I cooked steak and baked potato for Christmas. This was the smallest Christmas or the fewest amount of people I've ever had at my house.
Right.
Since I've been an adult for Christmas. Normally, we have a house full to some degree on Christmas Day. And sometimes some of the kids are in and all the kids, but this year it was just my wife and I. My mother came over, and since I've been an adult, I've never had only 3 people at my house for Christmas Day.
Okay.
Crazy.
Well, all right. Well, then let's see. We got hours. Let's see here. Let's find their hours here. It's not on this page. It's usually on the About or maybe not.
There you go. Scroll down. Doesn't show.
Closed. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It says closed now.
Oh, okay. Well, they're closed now. It's 7:30 in the
obviously.
morning.
So, but they usually have the. Okay, so they don't have their hours here on this one, but
I think they're open just regular business.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that they're closed at all.
right
Any days of the
just
week.
Probably just variation on the actual opening and
Exactly.
closing hours. So
check them out. Go on their website, call them or whatnot.
Yeah. So all right.
Barbarita's. By the way, can you believe this crazy weather?
Oh, I know. 80.
I believe we hit a record for a Christmas Day in Wichita Falls with getting over 80 degrees, which is very unusual. If you're not from here, it's usually not this warm.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it doesn't always have to be cold, and we don't always have white Christmases. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But it's usually not this cold, this warm. But it is coming because there's supposed to be a northern blow in Sunday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And it's supposed to get down into the 20s for lows.
Hey,
Which is more common for this time of year.
So, all righty. Well, what's this about? You've been in communicato with.
Yeah, I talked to Donny Lee, who's
Okay.
the superintendent of WFISD, and originally they were going to find out what the state was planning on doing. So, go back
about
a little
what?
ways.
Yeah, I
Here,
was
a
gonna
little
say about
background.
what?
Okay, so Wichita Falls ISD has had a couple of schools that have been in school improvement for quite some time. They're basically failing. The schools
Okay.
are failing. And they've done a lot of things to change it. They've actually closed Kirby Junior High, moved it to our Kirby Middle School, moved it to Hershey, the old Hershey building. Then they brought basically a contractor,
Turnaround company almost.
to come in who has a track record turning schools around, to come in and run that school. Several months ago, Mike Morath, who's the commissioner of education in Texas, made a comment, and he said it publicly, that according to the law, he only has two choices: to either close what is now Hershey Middle School or to replace the school board. Basically, the state comes in and takes over. They've just done that in Beaumont again for a second time, at least a second time. They've done it in Fort Worth. So I believe the WFISD was going to know their fate in December. But the school district has put out what they've called some compelling arguments. Let's see right here. A compelling legal argument to keep the TEA from taking over. And so now what they're reporting is they won't find out until late January, early February to find out what's going to happen. So whether the Wichita Falls ISD will be taken over by the state, and what happens is they get rid of all the school board and they replace them with a board of managers, or whether they're just going to close Kirby Middle School. The biggest challenge I see with closing Kirby Middle School is, what are you going to do with these kids? There's not enough schools in the WFISD that are middle schools to disperse these children. So I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a big fan of the state taking over a school district, especially because you have a couple schools that are failing. I mean,
Right.
When you have 23 schools, and you've got most of them are doing okay, for the state to come over and take over the whole school district doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
if that's
that's
law,
what the law is.
Yeah, but could there I guess in theory then if that's the law, then there could be in theory a special session, but just for Wichita Falls.
No, there's no
Yeah,
way.
that's-
The legislature? No, there's no
Yeah,
way the legislature's going to convene for that.
Yeah.
No, that would cost. There's no telling how much it costs for them to convene
Well, but how much does it cost to take over a school?
a district. Not much. You go out and fire a bunch of people, and you still got the taxpayer money.
Right,
That's
doesn't
different.
Well, but the board of managers, or is that what? you
Yeah,
said
they
that
don't
would
get
be
paid.
Oh, you mean they wouldn't?
No, they're just like a board of managers at the Clay County Memorial Hospital.
Oh, okay, so
It's-
they would
just
it
instead
would
of
just
being
be-
elected, you're being appointed.
Okay, so it would just be
They're cleaning.
they look for volunteers essentially.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
a volunteer thing.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's not a board of managers like you pay a bunch of people to come in and do this type thing.
Okay.
No, it's you go from being, from my understanding, you go from being an elected official to an appointed official. Okay. You still have the same responsibilities,
Right.
and you still have the same duties to uphold. It's just that you're not elected by a popular vote. You're appointed by a group.
Well, that's an interesting question, and I don't know if maybe this isn't the time to talk about it. Maybe somebody else we could ask, but it almost seems like, though, that you are thwarting the will of the people after an election, a bona fide election.
Well, you kind of, in a way, you are, but the law, I think the law kicks in because you're doing it because there's a reason.
Right.
Because the people that I'm not saying this is, I agree with this. I'm just telling, I think this is the theory.
Right.
The theory is this group of people was elected. They're not taking care of business. They're not upholding what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So that we are going to remove them and replace them.
Well, you never had to run into that or anything.
No.
Or y'all had some challenging schools, though.
Yeah, but never had any.
But nothing this long. But also, you think, Donnie, how long has he been there now? Gosh.
4 years now, maybe.
Is it?
Three to 4 years.
God, there's no. It doesn't feel like it.
He came in like 2022, probably 3 to 4, probably 3 years in, because he wasn't here during the beginning of COVID.
Right. No, I know. All right. Well, I'll have to look that up. Yeah.
But that's kind of where this WFISD is. They're trying to figure out this. They're trying to figure out what the state's going to do. The state's got to figure out what they're going to do, and it's a touchy situation. I think what I understand is kids have a right to a good education. But by the same token, you can't force people to learn. No. And especially in this day and age, when you don't have parental support.
Right.
And I'm not saying that no parent support. What I'm simply saying is, though,
makes it a lot more difficult.
It has gotten much more difficult to become a teacher and an educator, and not even in Texas, in the country, probably in the world, but for sure in the country.
Right.
Because the parental support, used to when we were kids, if you screwed up at school, and you were a screw up, the parents called the house, or I'm sorry, the teacher called the parents, and the parents got involved.
Right.
Well, sometimes that happens now, but there's more and more, increasingly, more parents that don't want to get involved.
Right.
It's like, that's your job, not my job. But it's like, no, ultimately, you had this child. It is your job to raise the child.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the school districts, it's not the government, it's not whatever, but there's so many people that are abdicating their responsibilities to the government.
But not only that, some of them are even making it actively more difficult. It's one thing to be passive. I mean, I'll be my mom was not the most. I mean, I wasn't in a lot of trouble, but it would have been. I feel like it would have been a little nice. I would have probably done better in school had my mom been a little bit more. Get it more disciplinarian, and she wasn't. And she's a single mom, so I don't want to knock her for that.
Well, I was a single dad, though, so I ain't.
Well, no.
I don't give anybody pass.
No.
But if you were a complete screw up, though, she probably would have been more involved. Don't you think?
Right? Yeah.
You don't think your mom would have just said, your problem, not mine.
Right. I mean, I didn't fail or anything.
I know. I'm talking about if you were, but there are kids that are screw ups.
My brother had some challenges, but anyway, he made it through life, and he's an aircraft mechanic for American Airlines now, so I guess he's doing all right.
Don't tell people that your brother who's had challenges is an aircraft mechanic that's always going to fly.
No. But anyway, discipline, and he's grown up, so. But anyway, yeah. And by the way, I looked it up, and it looks like at least the AI answer was the hiring date. WFISD officially hired him on July 25th, 2022. So yeah. Wow. Hard to believe he's been here that long.
I said 2022. At first I said 4 years. I said 3 or 4 years.
Right.
2022 would have been 3 years.
Okay, so I guess my
he's going into his fourth year. He's going to start his fourth year.
Well, the reason I wondered about that is just that how much of this did he inherit, and how much has he been trying to?
He inherited a problem. Right. There's no doubt. The school district there was a problem. There were multiple problems. So he did inherit some problems. But part of it is, I think what the state's looking at, and this is just kind of my assessment from being around the school business for a while, is the state is looking at how quickly and decisively did you react? Sure. Because the way I look at it, because I've always thought about this, there's been times that I've seen this, because teachers have contracts. Teachers are incredibly hard to fire, by the way. Okay, teachers are harder to fire than they should be. Now, It should not be easy to where somebody wants to just go in, the parent complains, and somebody goes in and cans a teacher. That can't.
Right.
But teachers are, especially when you have teachers that are on what are called continuing contracts, it's basically a property right. And it's almost having tenure. Right. You can almost do anything and get away with it. There are limits. So teachers are harder to fire than they should be. So what has happened traditionally in school districts that I've seen is you have a bad teacher, you can't fire them. So you move them around. Right. And you kind of put them where they, quote unquote, can do the least amount of damage.
Well, that you might find a non-teaching position for them.
And chances are you're going to have a finding teaching position, but you might put them in a smaller class. You might do tutorial. But whatever. But my point is, at some point, how is that fair to the kid? They're going to get the crappy teacher in the school because we're moving the crappy teacher around. Yeah. And so, and I think that's probably the state's idea is, okay, so how many groups of kids, how many classes of kids did you let fail through here when you should have done something different? Now, I'm not saying the state can do anything different. Right. Maybe they can and maybe they can't. And that's why I was in favor of the WFISD coming in and putting this, I think it's first, third, or whatever the company is, give it a whirl. And I know there was a lot of people that were complaining about it and stuff like that. It's like, well, what they're doing is not working.
Right. The whole proverbial, don't keep doing the
same thing over
expect
and over
a different
again.
result.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So what they're doing is not working. So let's try something else. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least we tried it.
Right.
So
and then that also justifies that. Hey, look, we've done our due diligence. We've done what we can. So maybe it's not. Maybe there's just a cluster of circumstances for this group of kids that might have a little more higher average of challenges. Right?
What they probably should have done is they probably should have redrawn lines, and at some time in the past, redrawn lines, and you take when you have a group of kids that are failing.
Well, yeah,
you disperse that group, and it theoretically brings everybody up.
Right.
It does. I think it does. You're not going to have a group of kids that are having a problem, right? And all of a sudden they're going to go, and everybody else is going to drop off.
Well, there's a certain amount of theory because I wouldn't consider myself an educator by any means,
and I'm not either.
Right, but I did go through a teacher education program in Kansas. I got my certification in elementary education in Kansas, and with a middle school endorsement in math. Okay, so I went through the program. Now, I didn't go and teach other than my student teaching, but I feel because we had classes that prepared us about all the learning theory and all that good stuff.
The pedagogy.
Right, and so so there's a certain amount of something to that, the fact of taking people and putting them in an environment where learning is happening. There's two ways to do that. You can certainly lower standards to where you bring everybody, it makes it easier for people to get over to show you're passing. But you can also bring other people up by not lowering your standard, but surrounding, because even though it's not, my brain doesn't go into their brain, but the interactions, the actual hands-on, the peer hate to use peer pressure,
but it's true.
But it's a certain amount of peer group interactions.
The military is famous for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can take people who go into the military who are absolute screw-ups,
and
they get in there with an environment that is much more disciplined, and everybody else, and you're gonna have a small amount of people that are just fuck-ups. That is just reality. There's something wrong with them. Yeah. There's something wrong mentally or emotionally or something like that, and there's some of them that are not fixable. Right. That's just reality, okay?
Right, and so
but that's not the majority of people. The majority of people are fixable, even though they have some challenges. Right. And some have more challenges than others. So a lot of their challenges are external; they're not internal.
Correct.
The kid's a good kid.
It's just
the kid lives in a shit situation.
Yeah.
And so if you can get that kid who's got that good kid inside of them, who wants to do well, who wants to excel. And most kids are that way, and put them in an environment to where some of their external bullshit is mitigated to some degree. you can have kids that rise up. That's one thing that's so great about public schools in America. So people talk about schools all over. Okay, well, this country is doing this and this country is doing this. Well, you know what these countries do a lot of times? I don't know if people are aware. These countries, they start just getting rid of the bad kids.
Yeah, and then
they get rid of the kids who are not as smart as the others.
Right.
They start putting them in different tracks and stuff like that. So when you say Germany, for instance, we're comparing the German schools to American schools. In America, you're talking about every kid who qualifies for public school, which is basically every kid.
Well, yeah.
But in Germany, you're talking about their top 50% of their kids, or 60%, or whatever that number is, because they're basically saying, okay, we can't fix this person. We can't fix this person. We're going to give them a trade. We're going to give them something. We're going to take them out of the traditional school environment.
Right.
Okay. And so it's not a fair comparison. And public education, what public education has done in America is it's taken people that are from horribly crappy circumstances and turned them into superstars because they were good inside. They were smart kids. Yeah. They had a lot of drive. They had a lot of ambition. They're good people. And it basically put them in an environment where they could foster and flourish no matter how bad the outside is.
Right. Now, we have our blemishes for sure. But for so long, we even did that kind of tracking people through even through the 50s and 60s. And then we, probably in 70s into the 80s, we started saying everybody needs to go to college. So we kind of went the other way.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, it needs to be pulled back, and it has been.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen a difference in that in education. We started pushing people places that they shouldn't have been pushed.
Right. Well, yeah, but also look at what technology has done. We've been able to take because the truth is, even right now today, to get into IT, there's educational paths to go to, but you don't have to have a college degree to get to it. There's so much. I mean, and
you shouldn't have to.
Right. And it's a very interesting topic when at least in my world, I have, people who I interview have a degree in this or that or whatever. It's like, I have a degree. I have a master's degree, but I don't focus on the degree. It's what do you know? What can you provide me? Now, I will give it some. When I look at, are they able to carry something through as far as completing something? I think that's a huge thing. Yeah, I can see that you went through a course of 120 plus semester hours, and some of you probably tested out, but still, you stuck by something. But then, because I've interviewed, and maybe you've asked this question, but I ask questions of, hey, tell me about a project that you've seen through to completion. Just tell me what it is. And sometimes, I'm pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth. It's like, hey, have you ever built a bicycle? Have you ever fixed your bicycle? Have you ever upgraded your bike? Have you done anything as a kid? Have you built a house or have you a computer? Or have you done anything like that? And I've interviewed some kids. They're really nice kids, but they just don't have a lot of drive to learn anything.
The one thing that a college degree will like you said, one thing that a college degree will prove to you is that somebody can focus enough and dedicate enough time and effort in doing something.
Right.
Because 99% of the people do not go through college without having to study. So,
right.
Most people have to study. Some have to study a lot. Some have to study less.
Right.
But there is at some point, the college work. I never studied my first 2 years of college. Never had to. Didn't have to. I just had to go to class, and I was okay. But at some point, the level of rigor, the academic rigor, gets high enough to where even though you absorb things pretty well, you have to study, and you also have to manage your time. Right. And you have to dedicate time for this and dedicate time for that. And what somebody who comes out of college with a college degree, it shows you, and it doesn't even have to be a 4-year. It could be a 2-year degree.
2-year, yeah.
They've shown you, or end of a trade program, they've shown you that they can go through something, they can dedicate enough time to it to get through it and go all the way and to completion, like you said.
Right.
And that's a big part of it. It's not that you have that what your degree is. Right. It's that
not necessarily,
you have it, or not that your trade certificate is. It's that you have it. You completed it. You did it. Nobody can complete your college education for you. Nobody can complete your trade certification for you. You have to do it.
Right. Well, and one thing that I do have a concern, without getting too much more onto this, but education in the sense that I've seen, the traditional education model is weaker in terms of why everybody needs to do it. Not everybody needs that, first of all, but there's so many more outlets for getting training now.
Totally agree.
Now, how much of that's watered down and super easy, that is my only concern about it, because availability doesn't make it better. I mean, even Trump had a university, right? He created a
oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember something.
Right,
about it,
and apparently there's some student loan stuff there. But anyway, I don't know, but I haven't dug into that. But anyway, my point is that there's the quality. It depends. If you're going to MSU, I'm going to put that up in terms of the rigor to go through.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Put a lot of credibility there. But anyway, so
and there may be a time. There may be a time when you can have a 2-year degree that's quote unquote is worth as much as a 4-year degree, because you spent 2 years focusing on what you are rather than humanities. So, if you're going to nursing school, you really need to take a humanities class. You need to take a music appreciation class. I mean, I've always thought, and I understand the theory is we want a well-rounded student. Yeah, but at some point, let's get to the meat of the process, and let's get to what we're doing.
I think that's what the Bachelor of Science is.
Yeah.
That sort of brings some of that.
You still have to have music appreciation or something like that when you have one of those.
Yeah, but it's not a ton. I mean,
it's not, but it's money and it's time.
Yeah.
And so
well, yeah.
I mean, I can see where
there's a lot of
transition more to 2-year degrees.
Well, yeah,
that are more focused on what you're doing or what your plans are.
Well, and that's really what like the Air Force Associate of Applied Science. I mean, that's what, and I think the junior colleges tend to have that as well. Yeah. So instead of versus an Associate of Arts, which is the broader thing. So anyway, well, I think that's an interesting topic, but I hope that the school district does not get taken over. I really do. I give these guys. I think they've been doing, or at least Donny Lee anyway, has done everything he can to work this out, and I guess he has to work hand in hand with the school board, because he can't just right.
Oh yeah,
they can't.
The school board makes the decisions on the money.
Right. So I'm hopeful that they come back and come up with a creative solution, I guess that meets all the requirements. So
we'll find out.
Yeah. And what do you think? What would you say? What he thought you'd hear?
Late
back?
January, early February.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
Texas hemp debate.
Yes. Okay. So you've done a little more research than I have. I gave you the article on the idea, but what all is going on here?
Okay. So
we've had a lot of back and forth on this.
Yeah. So basically, it looks like now the hemp, there's a hemp processing plant here in Wichita Falls. Mm-hmm. They're not processing hemp for consumable use. And by the way, just so you know, because I looked up to make sure the definition of consumables in this discussion are a consumable in the Federal Legislation Act of 2025, a consumable THC product is considered to be any finished product intended for ingestion, inhalation, or topical application that contains hemp-derived cannabinoids.
That would be CBD oil, and some of these other
and marijuana.
Of course, marijuana. Yeah. But I don't think nobody's advocating, or very few are advocating, at least in this particular thing. It's actually the other way. They're trying to eliminate, at least in Texas, the legislators have once in June got it to the desk of Governor Abbott, and he vetoed it.
Right. So basically what Governor Patrick, Lieutenant Governor Patrick's been kind of the driving force on this. He said primary component of complete ban on consumable hemp products. So that's what they wanted, was a complete ban.
Right.
Arguing that they're poison and public safety hazard, especially children. Abbott vetoed it, favoring a regulated market instead. And so he issued an executive order to tighten regulations focusing on age restrictions, ID verification, and stronger product testing. After vetoing.
Yep. Okay.
So the hemp industry is saying that it supports a regulated market but not a ban. Right. Obviously, that makes sense. I mean, that's their business.
Right.
And if somebody said they're going to want a 100% ban on computers, then
Right.
Terry
Well,
would be
yeah,
against
yeah,
that because that's your business. I get it. I understand. And but they're saying that a complete ban would be devastating to small businesses.
Sure. Well, there's some small businesses. I mean, there's several in town that are doing the CBD oil thing, and other products that are derived, that are consumable,
Right.
consumer/consumable, I guess.
And then, so of course, there's advocates, and these are kind of the key players. There's advocates and consumers that are groups, veteran groups and stuff like that use hemp products for pain and mental health relief.
Right.
An active lobby against bans and preferring regulated legal market with safety standards.
Right. So here,
which is more similar to what we have for alcohol.
Right.
We don't have a ban on alcohol.
No.
There was a time and it turned into be a shit show.
Yeah.
It was bad. So there's not a ban on alcohol, but it is regulated.
Right. Well, we were banned. I mean, all of this stuff was banned 20 years ago for sure. And then
alcohol wasn't.
No. I'm talking about the THC stuff.
Oh, THC stuff.
Right, the cannabis related products. And then we started seeing them pop up. And this happened, of course, it was legalized in California first, and then
Oregon.
Oregon, and then,
may have been the first
and then
state,
Colorado, and then Oklahoma, the closest, before we have even gotten into that. Oklahoma allows for prescription. Now, how hard is it to get a prescription? My understanding it's not hard at all. You can find a doc that'll do that. So we know that's going to happen. But what it looked like now, I'm going to bring up on the screen here. This is a Wikipedia. Warning. Just know it is Wikipedia, but there's some good information on there, not everything. But this shows where Texas is with regard to there is legal use of marijuana, but with a prescription. And it talks about, here on the right side, you've got in December 2014, kind of when it began. Mm-hmm. And then I guess that's, 11 years ago, almost 12. But they kept allowing more and more use of it over time. And then they've allowed for medical here in 2019 for Parkinson's, ALS, and autism, multiple sclerosis, spasticity, and terminal cancer. And then, and I think the terminal cancer part of it is that there's the nausea that goes along, and it's been proven, I guess, for marijuana to help reduce nausea,
as well as pain relief. I think,
right, and pain and all of that. And then, of course, just in more recently, even in June, the same time that he he vetoed the bill that wanted to ban it, he actually expanded, there was another bill, which I think is real. So on one hand, they're saying medically you're okay with it.
SB3 and SB5, and SB3 was vetoed.
Right. So so we've seen that increase in the use of it on the one side for legitimate medical purposes. But anyway, this, I think, and we discussed this before we went live here this morning.
Let's finish the
thing
here.
Okay.
But right now, here's where the rub is. There's a federal ban now.
Right.
So this was enacted in 2025, and it will go into effect in 2026. So in about a week or so, in provision of the federal spending bill passed by Congress effectively banned most consumable hemp products containing THC nationwide.
Next year,
by limiting them to near undetectable limit of 0.4 milligrams, which I'm assuming is pretty small, and will take effect in November 2026. Right. So basically, it puts what currently is in Texas in conflict with what the new federal law is going to be. Right.
Well, I mean, does that? See, again, there's a lot of details out, so we do have questions. Is it gonna cover this federal law? Does it cover the medical use?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, for a long time though, the hemp that Panda Biotech is processing was illegal at the federal level.
Right, but it's not now because it does not contain THC.
Yeah. Right. No. It was just interesting how the federal government had a ban on that for so long. Yeah. And then finally, so it appears though, from what we're gathering here, that Panda Biotech itself may not or shouldn't be affected
I would
by
think
this.
so.
I'd like to, we
need to ask them.
Yeah, we need to get them on. That would be a cool, because I want to go do that plant tour like Mike got to do.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so with that, just something to keep an eye on. It's just interesting. We have. Do we want to get into talk about what kind of where we fall?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm of the opinion that we should regulate it for sure, and allow even the smoking of it. And I don't know, and because I mean, for all practical purposes, on this page here, even it talks about it, how even it's de facto legal in Austin to smoke marijuana, because they're not going to arrest you unless it's over 4 ounces. And so there, and again, now whether that's state law, I forget what the state law says, 2 ounces, I think. And then, but anyway, in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, Austin, and residents of Travis County are cite and release.
Basically, they it sounds like you write them a ticket.
Write them a ticket, yeah. And
so okay, so here's where I am on this. First off, I know I see that there is some positives for THC, some medical reasons behind it. So I'm not against banning anything like that. Okay, at all, for medical reasons. For recreational type stuff, what I don't like is the smoke. Okay, if somebody wants to take an edible, to me it's similar to alcohol. Sure. If you and I are sitting right here,
right,
and one of us takes an edible, or one of us drinks a piece of or drinks an alcohol, one drink of alcohol, it does not affect the other person at all.
No, I mean,
we don't smell it.
Right.
We don't.
You could continue and get as drunk or as high as you want.
Well, at some point, then it could affect you.
Well,
but yeah.
No, but I mean, but I'm not physically.
What I'm saying is, though, but the same as in alcohol, if somebody walks in and you smell alcohol on them,
yeah.
or you smell marijuana smoke on them, you have a right to have an assumption that they're possibly impaired.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's a good assumption to make.
Right. If they're are they chilled when they're? Because some people, when they get drunk with alcohol, they chill out. Other people get aggressive. Right. They get aggressive,
yeah.
and
So, but that's my point. That's where I have an issue. And you have all these states that have allowed people to smoke marijuana openly, and you're getting into contact highs. And I know that there's some. Is that true or is it not true? But you go to the fact is, I don't want to smell it.
Right.
And why should I have to smell it? Because you want to go over there and get high. If you want to go eat an edible, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do. Now, understand though, if you become impaired, that's when I have a problem.
Well, right.
I have a problem with you driving, but I have the same with alcohol. If you're going to drink alcohol. Now, the difference is, and I don't know what the amount is, because I don't know this. I'm not an expert on any of this. I don't drink. I don't do drugs and all that. So I'm absolutely not an expert on any of this.
Me either. So.
I'm the first one to say this. Can you take a small amount of THC and consume it and not be impaired from a legal standpoint, just like you can alcohol? The average person, I know it's all averages, but the average person can drink a drink, and there's what is it, 2 drinks an hour? There's so many drinks, so much alcohol,
right?
That
depending on your weight and all that, right.
You got to go by averages. You can't.
No, I know. I know, but I mean,
so the average person can drink a certain amount of alcohol over a certain period of time and still not be impaired. Is that possible with the THC product? And the answer is I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I just don't know.
Right. No, I know. That's what I'm looking up here just to pull it up. But so we're similar, of course, in that. But as far as, because again, we were talking about this beforehand, I think if we're going to allow smoking of it, so I think I just think it's impractical to let's just tax it and move on. But do regulate it. Now, if you're going to do it in your own home, because we talked about that in general, you'd say, well, yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want in your own home, because. Right, I mean, we're not going into people's
totally
homes
agree
and
with
telling them not to smoke.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned, right?
I don't care what you do.
But then we bring in children.
That's right.
Okay?
Now that's where I have a problem.
But to me, it materially, it's just sure you're going to be exposing them to maybe some secondhand, which again I think there's some I think there are credible studies out there that talk about the secondhand smoke. We know that cigarette smoke is bad, but we don't.
But you don't get high off of it.
No, but whether you get high or
it doesn't
not,
alter you.
right? Just take that component. Whether I don't care what you smoke, if you're smoking something near someone else, in terms of the smoke, it's bad for that other person too.
Maybe and I don't disagree with that. But this is, and I think this is where our difference is going to be, and this is fine. When you have children, underage people, who don't have a choice of leaving.
Right.
In other words, or somebody who's old, somebody who's infirmed in your home. Right. Let's say that they don't have a choice of leaving. If I go to your house and I open your door and it looks like Snoop Dogg's in there, the shit's rolling out of it, right? I have a choice to leave.
Right.
Or you yes, fire one
totally.
up. I have a choice
but
to
the
leave.
child or an incapacitated or another adult who's
the fact is. There is so much evidence out there. We could go to these. There's a study out there that says this isn't true, but there's so much evidence because it's logic. Number one, logic, and number two, millions and millions and millions of people confirm it. There is such a thing as contact high. That if you are in a room that has marijuana smoke in it to a certain level, it can alter you. That's not fair to do somebody who doesn't have a choice. Whereas I don't like cigarettes and I don't like people smoking around their kids. Don't get me wrong. But it's not going to have an immediate effect on them. Okay? To say you're going to die of secondhand smoke anytime soon is not is bullshit. Is wrong. But marijuana, if you're sitting there in the living room and you're puffing a joint and your kid's sitting right there and you're watching SpongeBob SquarePants together or something like that, the chances of them being affected, being altered based on what your actions are at that time, altered right now, immediately, are high.
Well, I think that it's, to me, I don't know. I grew up in a smoking household, and I hated it.
So I understand.
I hated it. And my dad, I had to go buy his cigarettes. Mm-hmm. Until one day, I remember I was 18, and my dad said, "Hey, go to the gas station and get me some cigarettes." And I told him no. He goes, "All right."
Yeah.
And I never got, I mean, he was a yeller. He never hit us or anything. Yeah. I mean, wow, I got whooped. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But but I never, and I even made him a damn paddle in woodshop. How stupid was that?
I was going to say.
It didn't have the holes in it.
I was going to say, but still, yeah.
But
I would have made one out of Nerf.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we didn't have a Nerf shop. But anyway, but the bottom line is that, in my opinion, that I don't care. I see no material difference in terms of the application of as far as secondhand smoke or marijuana smoke, whatever. I think there's sure, I'm not going to sit here and argue that you're not going to feel some effect of it, but I don't think it's such that it's a long-term, whatever little bit of a high that maybe somebody comes with is not, it's, to me, is more dangerous of the smoke itself, whether it's marijuana or otherwise. And cigar smoke. In fact, cigar smoke is the most offensive thing I have ever smelled.
Well, see, I like some of the smoke.
Oh man! Well, my grandfather smoked a pipe, and that, oh my God, that
sweet smell too.
Yeah. That actually has good memories. Although again, I in the looking at it logically, hell, it doesn't matter.
But my point, and this is where we'll disagree, and that's fine. I see a difference, and the fact is, cigarettes are legal now.
Well, no, absolutely
so,
they are.
And so you're trying to make something. No, you're trying to say you're trying to make a new law, and my whole point is, now, once again, I go back to edibles.
No,
if you're sitting there and you having an edible, you're having something that or you could somehow ingest something or rub it on you, and it doesn't affect somebody who's sitting in the same room with you, I have no problem with that.
Well, okay. Well, and another point is I think we're taking the combination. Marijuana is basically the combination of an alcohol and some cigarettes together. And that's where, to me, it's consistent if you'll say, okay, marijuana over here, treat it the same and regulate it like you do the other two. That's it. That's to be consistent, to be intellectually honest and consistent.
Because there's that other component is a cigarette smoke is not going to have an immediate effect on the person who's next to you, but a marijuana will.
Although there have been some recent studies saying wine is not as healthy as some people thought, but to me, there is more evidence on the marijuana side of actually having benefit overall than on the alcohol and cigarette
I'm not talking about benefit. I'm not against the benefit. I'm not talking about the benefit. I'm talking about your effect on other people. That's all I keep going back to.
But I think they still affect each other equally and similarly.
How can you sit there drinking a glass of wine affect me sitting right here? Zero.
No, but you're not. You're talking about other than in the household. I think the effects of health, if you just look at general health effects of whether you're smoking.
I'm talking about altering. I'm not talking about health. I'm talking about altering people.
No. Hold on. The negative health effects of work, of being around other people. You're not going to have in a workplace, in a practical sense, nobody's going to be smoking in most places. They're not going to be smoking marijuana or cigarettes for that matter, because most places in cities, they've banned cigarettes, right? So even if you go outside and you allow it, you can't come to work inebriated or high on anything or drunk either way. So I think and if you're in a public park, as you mentioned that before, that if you're going around walking down and you smell a bunch of potheads or whatever, and there's or if you have cigarettes, both of them are equally as offensive to me. And so I don't think, other than the minor thing, you can walk away in all cases as an adult. Now, I think we have to look at what the children affect. That's a separate issue. But I'm talking about as adults, and we making decisions and business owners deciding and the laws that are local and all of that. I think when it comes down to it, they are identical in terms of the way they should be treated.
Okay, well,
there we go.
And where we're going to disagree
all right.
Where we're going to disagree is because I don't disagree with you on the adult side.
Sure.
I can easily walk away. I can go put their shit out if I want to.
Right.
But when you're talking about with your children,
sure,
that's a different story. And the fact is, you could be sitting in the same room as your child, and you could take an edible, or you can rub something on you, or you could drink. Hang on, or you could drink.
Yep.
And it just has zero effect to that child sitting right there.
Okay, and we're all on the same page.
But if you light up a cigarette or a marijuana, if you light up a cigarette, it has zero effect to that child right now. Hang on, right now. No. Is it going to alter that child right now? No, it doesn't. It can't alter their mood. Cigarettes don't do that, okay? But marijuana, it does. It can have an effect, immediate effect on that child right there. That's where I have a problem. And that's fine. We're not that far off on this.
No.
But that is a very material place that we disagree.
Right, and then I think that's where we need to have those credible studies to be able, if you and I were on the board or whatever, we made the decision, we would then want, both of us, I think, would agree that we would be down to the point of I want to see real credible studies as to how, I don't want you testing on children or adults, but I want to test the effect of the amount of that drug, of THC specifically, and the carcinogen effects of the smoke, all of that kind of stuff.
If you've ever been to a concert,
oh yeah,
I'm sorry. If you've ever been to a concert and you say contact high is not true, bullshit. You're wrong.
No, I'm not saying it's not. So, that's what I want to know. All right,
we need to move on to and let's at least get one more thing out of the way, because I think this is pretty important. The city of Wichita Falls is accepting
trees.
Yeah, now not your plastic tree from Walmart,
and without tinsel.
Right. Okay. So at 4 locations are accepting trees. If you want to get rid of your real Christmas tree, okay. Couple things. One, all the decorations have to be off of it. Don't go throw your bullshit out there. Number 2, it has to be a real tree. Can't be getting rid of your fake tree. Your tree looks in crap, so you want to get rid of it. You have to throw that in the trash can. That goes to the dumpster. So there are 4 locations. Lucy Park on Sunset Lane off Seymour Highway, Monday through Saturday from 5 a.m. to midnight. Kiwanis Park, 4400 Southwest Parkway, Monday through Sunday from 5 a.m. to midnight. The transfer station on Lawrence Road, right next to the Walmart there, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. 6 p.m. and 10 to 4 on Saturday. And the city landfill on Wiley Road out there, out in the country, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 8 to 4. And the city said you got to remove the sands, the decorations. They want the wood.
Just the natural part that came out of the ground.
What came out of the ground, yeah. However God intended it to come out, right.
Go.
So what they're going to do is, but they take all this and they mulch it up, and this stuff makes really good mulch.
Right, and then they make it available to the public.
They make it available to the public. They use it on city stuff or city properties, and then they usually will allow people to come get a load of mulch. Now, to take advantage of this service, you must be a City of Wichita Falls taxpayer. So you can't live in Clay County. Terry and I can't do this.
Now, can we give the tree?
No, I don't know
why.
So. But because
why would they care? That was actually a good thing. I don't think they're testing. They're not checking your water bill. I wouldn't think. Are they?
If you go to
to pick up your stuff. But if you're wait a minute. But if these drop off, where are they at?
Right here.
Right. No, but let's see. Oh, so
there's no charge for disposal at the transfer
right,
station.
for the transfer, but
and landfill.
But the other two
show resident. Oh well, nobody's out there to see.
No.
So if you go out there and throw your tree out there at Lucy Park, nobody's
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No. But the transfer station.
Right. The transfer station and the
dump.
Yeah, you got to. But Kiwanis Park and Lucy Park. Yeah. So if you've got a good tree, bring it to Lucy or Kiwanis if you're not in Wichita Falls.
Yeah. Exactly. So you want to go ahead and wrap it up there, and we can save the rest of it for next week.
Well, yeah, I guess what are we at? We got 9 minutes, but
okay,
sure.
Well, one more thing we can talk about is because this. Do we have one more show? No, our next show is actually next year, right? Yes.
Is it New Year's Day next?
No, our next show is the 2nd, which is
the 2nd. Yeah.
Okay. So. The Senate is debating using reconciliation to work on changes to the Affordable Health Care Act.
Okay.
And that will have to happen, or that may happen by the end of this year, because I believe that December 31st is when the subsidies go away. So there is a way in the Senate, United States Senate, there is a way for them to pass bills that have to do with have funding tied to it. And it's called through reconciliation. That's what the big, beautiful bill was. Okay. They didn't have to have any Democrats to vote for it. The Republicans were able to pass the bill themselves. Okay. And so now they're all home for Christmas. So they're going to go back, and they'll be back for a couple of days, or I guess 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we're going to see, so keep your eyes and ears open to the news to find out what's going to happen with the Affordable Health Care Act. Is it going to, are the subsidies going to be renewed, or is it going to be changed? Is there going to be some limitations on it?
We have to pass the bill before we know what's in the bill.
I don't know. But the fact is it can pass. The House has enough votes to pass it, and the Senate does have enough votes to pass something through reconciliation. Okay. So it'll just depend.
Yeah. I've heard that term, but I didn't realize that's what that was for.
Yes, yeah. So basically, you don't have to have a supermajority.
Right, but most everything else you do.
Right.
Which I don't understand
because it's not policy, because there's a difference between policies and funding. Reconciliation can't be used. In other words, I don't believe, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. If you can't say that we're going to start allowing motorized vehicles in all national parks. That's a policy issue.
Right. But generally though, it's the House that has the purse strings.
Well, yeah, so but the Senate has to approve it though.
Right. Well, yeah.
Right. The House generates it, but so a reconciliation cannot be used. I'm pretty sure about this in a policy issue that's not tied into any money. In other words, we're going to make this policy. we're going to make this policy. But this is a spending. Reconciliation has to do with spending.
Right. Okay.
So that's why they can do it and they can pass bills. The Affordable Health Care Act was was done under reconciliation.
Well, but they were talking about the nuclear option in all of this debate.
That's what the reconciliation is, basically. But what I'm saying is it's limited. Reconciliation, you can do that, but you can't do reconciliation you can't pass all your laws under reconciliation.
Right, okay. Well, but that was talking about they were looking to remove the 2/3 majority requirement for things. But I'm saying they were looking, that was the nuclear option is what my understanding was.
Outside of reconciliation, outside of spending.
Okay, so, well, all right. Well, I'm not an expert in that, but okay, so keep an eye out on it.
So keep an eye out, see what happens. We got 3 days next week. And we'll need to see what's going to happen with all this.
Right. Well, and a note on this, and forgive me for the accuracy of this, but who's our? I say he's not our favorite, but maybe one of our favorite Democrats. Who's the guy? He had the stroke.
John Fetterman.
Yes, John Fetterman. He's actually was bringing up the other day about the fact that this is a Democrat. The way where we are at right now. Passed the way the Democrats wanted it without a single Republican.
Right.
And so they are now seeing the fruits of their efforts.
Yes.
And it was set to expire. They set this. This wasn't this was knowing that it was going to expire, and the intent was that it would expire because the rates would have come down.
Which
and they didn't, and when
they've gone the other way.
Exactly. And I'm arguing, and based on kind of historically, anytime the government throws money at anything that's broad-based like this, the prices go up. That's what's happened to healthcare, even more so. It's gotten that way in education, in the college world, because of student loans. Those are money. Now, admittedly, that in theory, it is government money. It's just being loaned to individuals.
It's government guaranteed.
No, but it's still because of the government behind it. You cannot file bankruptcy and get out of these.
That's right. I tell you, that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the government. You don't get a check. Your student loan doesn't come from the U.S. Treasury Department. It comes from Wells Fargo or somebody like that.
Is it still funded by the?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's backed by the federal government.
Okay.
So Wells Fargo and all them they're off the hook because. The federal government's back.
Okay. Well,
so what? Them out,
right, but either but all that money is I call it a false economy in the sense that they've thrown money into something huge dollars like that, and then the price because we can charge more. Again. I'm picking on MSU a little bit, but when the students voted, they had to vote to increase their fees, which guess what goes on a loan, and to increase that nice fitness center out there. And that they wanted that fitness center for a lot of reasons. One is obviously to take care of the folks, both the staff and the students, but also to recruit additional students.
Right.
And all of these facilities, and again, there's a balance somewhere, but I think that that's the kind of thing that goes on a student loan in the long run. And they are committed for I don't know how many years.
Yeah,
and students that are gone now that voted for this, they're gone now.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
I totally agree.
An example.
And as you've seen, insurance rates have not gone down. They've not stabilized. They've gone through the roof.
Right. And because the more money is available, they're going to go make that money. The COVID, where did all that money go?
Yeah.
It went into Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, all the big players. And I'm not blaming them, by the way.
No, you're not blaming them. You're blaming the people that allowed it.
Right, and I'm blaming them because guess what? Those companies, they're in business to make money, and they're probably better at it than me at my little business here. Mm-hmm. So so I'm here hanging on, and then they benefited from all this. So,
and they have a fiduciary responsibility to because if they have shareholders.
Mm-hmm. To make more money to
make as much money as to optimize the amount of money.
Absolutely. So anyway,
that's why there needs to be some major changes in health insurance and in healthcare. Now, I will say, and we did talk about this, that apparently, and I think we talked about it last show, there have been some big changes that are supposed to be coming over prescription drugs.
Okay. All right.
Well, all the CEOs of Merck and all them were at the White House, and they had a big thing saying it's called Most Favored Nations. Mm-hmm. Basically, wherever the drug is least expensive in an industrialized country, that's what the United States will pay for it.
Right.
Rather than us paying, basically from what I'm understanding is, what's happened is the United States has basically been paying for all of the research and development. Right. So we're overpaying. Everybody else is paying kind of a reasonable price.
Right.
We're paying way more than our quote unquote fair share.
Right.
And so basically that's going to be spread out. So in other words, France, Germany, Japan, England, they're all going to be paying more than they're paying now, but America will be paying less.
Right. And there's something, right. And there's something, so there's a pharmacy in Fort Worth, Forest Park Pharmacy, I believe it is. He does some videos, and he's always talking about prescriptions and how, and I forget the name of it now, but if the insurance company is going to pay, the cost is so much higher than what you can pay. In fact, sometimes your copay ends up being more than what you would have paid out of pocket.
Yeah.
And I don't know if can I like undo that and then pay just my part or how that works. But there's some big collusion going on. It's so weird.
It's huge.
I don't understand that.
I know James Frank's been working on this for years in Texas.
The insurance, that just makes no sense that the insurance companies are in on it. There's some middleman,
it has to do with rebating and stuff like that. There's a lot to it.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So anyway, it's
more
complicated than it. Yeah. So anyway, well, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up there.
So anyway, well, we hope to see you next week. Which
will be the new year. It'll be 2026.
Oh, it will be. Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's the second.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we'll do I guess we'll probably do a wrap up of what happened, and since we'll be fully past
2025.
Yeah. So but yeah. So anyway, we're I'm trying to get my pointer over
you don't
here.
Need that. You know,
so
you
yeah.
Know
So anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here, and so just join us next Friday, the 2nd. Right. It'll be January 2nd, and we'll be.
We'll start 2026 with a bang.
Yeah, well, you and I don't drink, so we're not going to come in and
we won't be all right.
But anyway, so yeah, just be here and. Anyway,
the one thing I did want to do in 2025 has been tough it's been great in some places and tough for others, and for our little show here, it was tough. Yeah, we lost Mike this year, and Mike was a dear friend of both of us. Mike and I went to school together from junior high all the way through. We didn't see each other a lot for many years as adults, and then we reconnected probably 16, 17 years ago, and radio was kind of the glue there, and did shows together on the radio, and then you and Mike did shows on the radio. So just, really wanted to just reflect back and say, none of this would have been possible without him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he brought us together,
yeah.
And he was kind of the catalyst. The radio show was the catalyst. I'm going to say now, you were the catalyst for this happening, though. I believe. I believe that. Okay. Mike was the catalyst for the radio side of it. Mike was the catalyst to get all that going. You were the catalyst to get the podcast.
But he brought the skill, the production
side
of it.
Absolutely, I said the catalyst.
No, I know. No.
You were the one. You were the one that got the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not just that. You were the one that had the idea. Right. Even when we were talking on the radio, we'd be on the radio. You brought cameras in, and we live stream and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just having fun.
I understand that. So anyhow, it was a tough year, and of course we dearly miss Mike.
Yep.
And know that he's going to be part of this program as long as we're going to have it.
Well, and he wanted us. We both know in our hearts that he wanted us to continue this.
And his family,
right? And his family also. Yeah, absolutely. So we certainly appreciate that, and I'm thankful for Mike and everything. And yes, we're not going to forget him. We're going to, he'll be part of this. Just we'll maybe I'll even I don't know. I'll get permission, but maybe we'll come up with some fun things to do.
If it's AI, I don't want to mess with it.
Okay. But anyway.
Well, Happy New Year from Get It Right Texoma. We appreciate you watching and listening. Yeah. And be sure to check in. We've got a lot of great guests. We'll go over that. We'll kind of do a review. Yeah. We'll talk about all of our great guests coming up.
Right. So, all right. Well, then, as Mike always said at the end of the show, is we're going to see you down the road.